As I'm praying, the Spirit is showing me something. What we think is light, a lot of times is darkness to God. And what we think is darkness is light to God. And the way He showed me this was the children of Israel as they came out of Egypt. They were in bondage, but they saw where their food was coming from. They saw and they knew where they were staying, where their water was coming from. Even though they were slaves and in bondage, they saw those things. Then when God led them out of Egypt, across the Red Sea, into the wilderness, they no longer could see where their food and their water would come from. In the wilderness, nothing lived. There was nothing there. Nothing grew. So to them, they were coming at a light. In their minds, even though they were in bondage, they saw where their provision, their water, and their food were coming from. And they were entering into darkness, the wilderness, where they had no idea where it was going to come from. God saw it completely opposite. That the children of Israel in Egypt was in darkness, was in bondage. And as they crossed the Red Sea, looking at the wilderness that God was leading them into, was the safest place they could be. Why? Because they needed God every day to survive. God saw them coming out of darkness in Egypt and going into the light of His provision, of His protection in the wilderness. Israel saw them coming out of the light where they knew where their provisions were coming from, going into the darkness, into the wilderness where nothing lived. So often we have to walk into the night of this world. We think we're in the light, but we're in darkness, and we have to let go of it all. How the world would supply our needs, how the world would handle situations. And we have to walk out of that comfort level into a place where only God can deliver us, only God can provide for us, only God can save us. Nothing that we've known before is where we're going. But God is there, and God is everything. We might think we're coming out of the light, knowing exactly where everything is coming from, into the darkness, not knowing where anything is coming from. But God sees us walking out of the bondage of darkness and the world and mammon. And as we walk away from that, we're walking into the only place where we have true provision and guarantee of life. And that's in God's realm, where only He can provide, where only He can deliver, where only He can make us whole. Where we can't see it and where it's coming from. And I see that in the Our Father. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Looking for the daily bread. And knowing that only God can supply that every day is walking in true light.